You're going to the store, money in your account. You swipe your card and hear that terrible sound. Beep. Transaction declined. Not because of insufficient funds. The government won't let you buy meat because you filled your carbon quota for the month. Welcome. This is 2026, and your money isn't yours anymore. The cashier's smirking. That fake, bored smile. She's seen dozens like you today. The line behind you is grumbling. Someone says, "Come on, man, move it." The package of ground beef in your hand goes back on the shelf. Cold, water droplets condensing on the plastic wrap. Final touch. You look at the phone in your pocket. The app's already open. Fed wallet, at the top. Below it, a small red warning. Protein limit exceeded. Reset. 8 days, 14 hours. You scroll with your finger. Last week's purchases are listed, each with an explanation. 0.8 kilograms chicken breast, carbon impact, medium. 1.2 kilograms red meat, carbon impact, high, quota, deducted. You shove the phone back in your pocket. Your stomach turns. You don't know if it's from hunger or rage anymore. You walk outside. In the parking lot, an old man's opening his trunk. Inside are 3 cans of beans. 3 cans. The man's proud, because he was able to buy those cans. The grocery category hasn't been restricted yet. If you're wondering how this madness started, we need to go back to February. Back then there was still cash. You still dropped coins in the subway. You could still break a few dollars at the corner store, buy the kid an ice cream. But when the Fed chairman stepped up to the podium, everything changed. The American people, he said, adjusted his glasses to increase economic efficiency, prevent tax evasion, and ensure financial transparency. We are transitioning to the digital dollar system, developed in partnership with the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department. FedCoin, officially known as the Central Bank Digital Currency Program, will become mandatory within 6 months. Applause in the hall. Of course there'd be applause. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News all told the same story. End to crypto fraud. Blow to money laundering. Tax justice is coming. Nobody asked. Who's going to control this money? Nobody asked. What can I buy with this? What can't I? Nobody asked. Can they cancel this? By June, cash use was effectively criminalized. Not directly banned, of course. They called it a transition period. Banks dropped the cash withdrawal limit to $200 a week, then $100. In August, 0. ATMs were removed, one by one. In city centers, in towns, at gas stations, QR code panels replaced them. Tap and pay, Fed wallet accepted, written on top. Bright blue lights, sterile, cold. In September, small businesses started collapsing. The repair shop on the corner closed. The guy still accepted cash. Because he was old, didn't trust the system. But when nobody had cash left, no customers left either. A "for rent" sign was stuck on the shop window. Someone had spray painted "Fed equals fascist" over it. 2 days later, it was erased. Cameras were everywhere anyway. The first thing nobody noticed was the spending categories. When you downloaded the app, it said in small letters at the bottom, "I accept the user agreement." Nobody read it. I didn't read it either. 47 pages. Nobody reads 47 pages of legal text. But it was written there. The Federal Reserve reserves the right to regulate and restrict user spending for reasons of national security, public health, and environmental sustainability. The first updates came in November. The system now categorized your spending: food, fuel, entertainment, health, medicine, alcohol, meat, dairy products, luxury items. Each category had a monthly quota limit. Not mandatory yet. It was promoted as voluntary participation, reduce your carbon footprint. Green leaves and smiling children on the screen. In December, it became mandatory. First, fuel quota, $150 a month. For a driver living in Texas, that barely covered commuting to work. Weekend getaway? Forget it. Visit your mother? Plan it. Or you walk. Then meat quota, 8 kilograms per person monthly. Under the guise of healthy eating, WHO reports were cited. Red meat consumption increases heart disease. Yeah, Maybe it does, but are you going to decide what I buy with my money? In January 2026, right now the system became fully automated. Now they're tracking not just what you buy, but where you buy it from. Did you buy organic meat from a local farmer? Low carbon score. Did you buy imported beef from Walmart? High carbon score. The system punishes you. Doesn't cut your money directly. No. More insidious. It puts you in the risky consumer category. And at your next purchase, your credit card makes that sound. Beep. Declined. To understand where this came from, we need to go back a bit. 2020. Pandemic. Lockdowns. Stimulus packages. The government was depositing money directly into accounts. Digital transfer. Fast. Easy. And everyone was happy then. After all, free money. But something went unnoticed. The government knew who got how much, where they spent it, when they spent it. Everything. Real time. And nobody said a word. Because money was coming in. People ask questions after they get their money. In 2022, the European Central Bank launched the digital euro pilot program. The currency of the future, they said. It was being tested in France. Voluntary participation. Users were given small bonuses. 5% back on your first €1,000 spent. People rushed. Who doesn't want free money? In 2023, China made the digital yuan mandatory. Western media screamed. Communist Party keeping citizens in a digital cage. Orwell's nightmares come true. Bloomberg, Guardian, New York Times, everyone wrote about it. Everyone condemned it. But nobody asked, won't we go down the same path? In the 2024 elections, both parties supported the digital dollar program. Biden's team called it economic modernization. Trump's team called it technological superiority against China. Same shit, different packaging. Congress voted, 73% approved. Republicans said yes. Democrats said yes. Independents stayed silent. In February 2025, the system went active. In June, it became mandatory. In September, cash disappeared completely. In January 2026, right now, control mechanisms are operational. And you still think you have your money. The truth is, you don't have money anymore. There's a digital number. On a screen. On a server. In a government database. And they can change that number whenever they want. Freeze it whenever they want. Delete it whenever they want. Last week, a guy wrote on Twitter, sorry, X. Fed wallet program is unconstitutional. Next day, his account was blocked. 3 days later, his Fed wallet balance was zeroed. Technical error, they said. The guy filed a lawsuit. Court said, lack of jurisdiction, dismissed the case. The guy's living at his family's house now, because without a digital ID, he can't pay rent, can't pay the electric bill, can't buy anything. Did protests start? Yes. In Portland. In Seattle. In Austin. Small groups. Cash is a right. Banners. Resistance for freedom. Slogans. Cops came. Didn't throw tear gas. Didn't beat them. Just took photos with their phones. Facial recognition system. 2 days later, the protesters' accounts were frozen for security threat. They appealed. Got rejected. Protests ended. Because a hungry person can't protest. A hungry person can't rebel. A hungry person just tries to stay alive. The first death report came in March. Minneapolis. A 54-year-old diabetic woman tried to get insulin from the pharmacy. Swiped her card. Declined. Medicine quota full, the system said. The woman cried. Begged. The pharmacist shrugged. It's out of my hands. The system won't allow it. The woman went home. 3 days later, her neighbor found her body. Hypoglycemic shock. Local news covered it. National media didn't. The second death came from Detroit. Asthma attack. Couldn't get an inhaler. Quota. Third from Phoenix. Heart medication. Quota. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. Nobody's keeping count anymore. CDC isn't publishing statistics. In the data collection process, they say. The process has been ongoing for 4 months, but the real insanity is watching how people get used to it. Your neighbor dies because she can't find insulin. You shrug. Well, she should have followed the rules. Probably ate too much sugar, That's why her quota was full. That's how the brain works. They call it cognitive dissonance. If reality hurts too much, you choose to bend and twist it. Otherwise, you go crazy. In April, a new update came. Some nonsense called Healthy Living Index. They linked your gym attendance, frequency, step count, heart rate to the system. Your phone was already tracking these things. Now they combined them with your FedWallet score. The logic was this. If you exercised 3 days a week, you got a healthy citizen bonus. Extra $50 food quota. If you didn't, no penalty. Just no bonus. But a chasm opened between those with bonuses and those without, because inflation wasn't stopping. Basic food prices rose 40% in 3 months. Those without bonuses were getting by on bread and pasta. Those with bonuses could still buy meat. Then they said, those whose vaccination schedules aren't current can't receive health bonuses. Then they said, those who buy alcohol and cigarettes can't receive health bonuses. Then they said, fast food purchases reduce health bonus by 25%. A new rule every month. A new restriction every month. And people were silently accepting it, because the only alternative was being completely outside the system. And those outside the system, they couldn't survive. Let's get back to the black market. Because of course a black market formed. Like with every prohibition, there was a guy in Brooklyn. Everyone called him Tito. Former repairman, new electronics, could hack RFID chips. First he did credit card cloning. Now he was trying to manipulate FedWallet accounts. He sold the service as quota reset. $500 cash. Yes, cash. It still existed. Underground. In basement, floors of homes. In boxes under beds. Bills printed before 2008. No longer legal but had value. Because it couldn't be tracked. Tito worked for 3 weeks. Then they broke down his door. Federal agents. 6 in the morning. He was still in bed when the door broke. Hands cuffed. House torn apart. Computers seized. Tito's now in Metropolitan Detention Center charged with financial terrorism. Bail denied. Court date uncertain. 4 of his customers were also arrested. The rest vanished. Accounts frozen. IDs cancelled. The state wasn't killing people anymore, just making them invisible. Digital ghost. There but not. In May, the carbon social credit went into effect. Idea imported from China. But they called it American style. Called it libertarian. The system was simple. Every purchase generated carbon points. Meat, high points. Vegetables, low points. Driving, high points. Bicycling, low points. Electric vehicle charging, medium points. Coal stove, banned. You had a monthly carbon quota. If you exceeded it, you didn't get penalized. No, a more cunning system. Next month you'd have less quota, so you punished yourself in the future. And of course there were good citizen bonuses. If you stayed under your carbon quota, extra fuel coupons. If you bought an electric vehicle, tax refund. But an electric vehicle costs $60,000, and your salary's frozen. They say inflation is 8%. Really, it's 25%. Look at your grocery receipts and you'll understand. The rich bought electric Teslas, collected carbon bonuses, made out fine. The poor continued with 98 Hondas, exceeded quotas, got penalized. Poverty became not just economic but a legal crime. In June, the first wave of account freezing came. Mass seize, 14,000 accounts overnight. No reason given. Security threat detected, they said. No appeal mechanism, or there was one but it didn't work. You'd call. They'd connect you to automated message. Please hold. Our representative will get back to you shortly. Nobody got back. Among the frozen accounts were journalists, lawyers, human rights activists, and yes, ordinary people. Accidentally in the system. But the accident wasn't being corrected. Because there was no error in the system. The system was infallible. There was a woman, from Atlanta, teacher. I forgot her name, or I don't want to remember. She'd tweeted criticism of the FedWallet program on Twitter. This is digital dictatorship, she'd said. The tweet got 47 likes. Next morning her account was frozen. Couldn't go to school, because without a digital ID you couldn't enter the school building. There was a QR code scanning system at the entrance. Declined, Security called. The principal apologized. "It's out of my hands," he said. The woman cried. Then she disappeared. No news site wrote about it. No TV channel showed it, because by now news sites and TV channels were also tied to FedWallet. Ad revenue came through digital transfer. If you published criticism, revenue got cut. Simple, effective, silent. In July, food stations opened. They called them community welfare centers, really government warehouses, run by FEMA. Those whose quotas were full could go there. Free food, canned beans, rice, bread, water. First week the lines were short. Second week they got longer. Third week they wrapped around the block. Fourth week a fight broke out. Knife drawn. Police came. Fired gas. 2 people died in the crush. In August they introduced access permits for the stations. Not everyone could go anymore. Only approved ones. Approval criteria were unclear. But we knew this. If you criticized the government on social media, you couldn't get approval. If you attended a protest, you couldn't get approval. If you had suspicious activity on record, you couldn't get approval. And the definition of suspicious activity was kept broad. Spending too much cash. Using VPN too much. Downloading encrypted messaging apps. Using Tor browser. Trying to buy Bitcoin. All suspicious activity. All recorded. Someone said, "This is no different from China." I answered, "No. In China at least you know what rule to follow. Here the rules are invisible." By September, the city had turned into somewhere else. You'd walk down the street, look at people's faces. Eyes were empty. That old craziness, even that old anger was gone now. Just exhaustion. Deep, bone-deep exhaustion. The Starbucks on the corner had closed. A federal nutrition access point had opened in its place. You'd go in, show your QR code. If the screen lit green, you got your daily allocated meal. If it lit red, you went out. No arguing. Crying didn't help either. The system was automated, cold, and definitely didn't make mistakes. At least that's what they said. There was a man in Washington Heights, used to play dominoes on a park bench. Old, Puerto Rican, never spoke English. Last saw him in August. In September, the bench was empty. I asked the neighbors, "Oh, Hector? He died." "How?" "We don't know. But his account was frozen. Couldn't get food. Maybe from hunger, maybe his heart. Who knows? Who knows?" 2 words. Became the new national motto. In October, the Digital Identity Integration Project started. Passport, driver's license, social security number, bank account, health records, criminal record, all merged into a single QR code. On your phone, on your wrist, or as an implant under the skin. The implant was voluntary, at first. "It's convenient," they said. "No problem if you lose your phone," they said. "Waterproof, drop-proof, theft-proof." They gave early enrollees a $1,000 bonus. People rushed. Of course they rushed. Who turns down free money? I had a friend, Chris, software developer, a bit paranoid. "Man, this chip isn't secure at all," he said. "Definitely has a back door. GPS tracking, microphone, could be anything." I said, "Don't get it then." He said, "I'm not getting it, but you shouldn't either." I didn't. Even though the bonus was tempting back then, something felt wrong. Chris was proven right. In November, it became mandatory. "The voluntary period has ended," they said. "Now all citizens must get the ID chip. Those who didn't, there's a grace period. Accounts of those who don't get it within 60 days will be suspended." Suspended. Nice word. Not killed. Just frozen. Made invisible. Turned into a ghost. Chris didn't get it. 60 days passed. Account closed. Couldn't pay rent. Landlord showed him the door. Chris went to his sister's. Stayed 2 weeks. Then his sister said, "I can't shelter you anymore. I'll get in trouble too." Chris hit the streets. Mid-December I saw him. Near Union Square. Torn coat, beard grown out. Eyes wild. "Chris?" I said. He looked at me. Didn't recognize me. Or didn't want to. Walked away. Next week bodies were collected from the streets. City trucks. Early morning hours. Silently. I don't know if Chris was among them. Didn't ask. Nobody was asking anymore. In December, the first social compliance assessment was done. Push notification came. Your annual compliance score, 680 over 1,000. Status, medium risk. What does medium risk mean? I clicked details. A list appeared. Exceeded carbon quota 3 times. Negative 40 points. Access to unapproved news sites. Negative 30 points. VPN use detected. Negative 50 points. Low participation in community events. Negative 25 points. Suspicious financial transaction. Attempted cash withdrawal. Negative 60 points. What's a community event? There was an explanation. Government-supported volunteer programs, community cleanup days, vaccination campaigns, town hall meetings. In other words, propaganda meetings. If you didn't go, you lost points. If you went, you gained points. And if your score dropped below 500, account suspended. I was at 680. So on the edge. One more wrong move and I was done. When January 2027 came, yes, we're in 2027 now, a year has passed, we didn't even notice the system had become perfect. No more resistance. Because there was nobody resisting. Either you'd adapted or you'd died. Or you'd become something worse than death. Someone non-existent. Giant screens were set up downtown, like Times Square but everywhere. They showed success stories, happy families, couples posing with their electric cars, young people saying, "I'm proud of my carbon-neutral life." All fake, all sponsored. But nobody cared. Because being on screen showed you were alive. Being visible meant existing. The invisible ones, they were living in basements, abandoned buildings, sewers. Yes, sewers. One night I ran into them, by accident, in one of the old train tunnels under Central Park. Candlelight. 20, maybe 30 people. Mostly young. Some old. All chipless. All outside the system. I talked to a few. There was a girl. Called herself Emily. Don't know if that was her real name. I was a student, she said. Columbia University. Journalism major. I wrote an article about how the FedWallet program is unconstitutional. My professor wouldn't let me publish it. I published it anyway. On my own blog. Next day, my account was closed. Got kicked out of school. My family showed me the door. "You'll burn us too," they said. I came here. Been here 4 months. I asked, "How do you survive?" She laughed. "We don't survive. We just don't die." In February, they added behavioral requirements to food stations. Before getting food, you watched a short video, propaganda film. Why the FedWallet system works. The importance of carbon reduction. Government guidance for healthy living. When the video ended, test questions appeared. If you didn't answer correctly, you couldn't get food. The test was easy, because the answers were clear and obvious. Does FedWallet increase economic freedom? Yes, it does. Does carbon quota protect the environment? Yes, it does. Does the state work for your benefit? Yes, it does. We were lying. Everyone was lying. But we had to lie to get food. And as we kept lying, we started forgetting what the truth was. Maybe this was the truth. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe the system was right. That's how the brain works. It lies to itself to survive. And if you say it enough, the lie becomes truth. In March, I saw Chris. Again. But this time in a different place. In the food station line. He was wearing a suit. Clean-shaven. Clean. A chip on his wrist showing bright blue. "Chris?" I said. He turned. Looked. Smiled. "Hey, how are you?" You got it?" "Yeah." "Why?" He shrugged. "Got tired. Couldn't take it. Rather than freeze to death on the street. Well, there it is. I entered the system. Now I work for a company, developing software. For FedWallet infrastructure. Ironic, isn't it?" I just stared. "Look," he said. "Everyone makes a choice. I made mine. You'll make yours. Sooner or later. Because there's no alternative. You understand? No alternative." He walked away. Disappeared into the crowd. He was right. There was no alternative. April 2027. Right now. Today. I'm going to the store. I have money in my account. But I don't know what I can buy. Because the rules change every day. Yesterday I could buy bread. Today maybe I can't. Yesterday I could use the subway. Today maybe it's banned. My phone rang. Notification. Your social compliance score updated. 655 over 1,000. I'd lost 25 points. Why? I clicked. Low state. Approved media consumption. What does that mean? Didn't I watch CNN enough? Didn't I click on Fox News? Which, approved media. Doesn't matter. Score dropped. I'm approaching 500. If I hit 500, I'm finished. I reached for my pocket. Old habit. Looking for change. But there's no change. No cash. Nothing. Just a phone. And inside that phone, a number. 655. The value of my life. The measure of my existence. I went into the store. Shelves half empty. Meat section completely empty. Produce section only has cabbage and carrots. There's milk, but not branded. Says, state-supported milk on it. Don't know how it tastes. But there's no choice. I went to checkout. Took out my card. Swiped it. Beep. Green light came on. Transaction approved. I walked outside. Sun was setting. Streets were quiet. People were going home. Or thought they were. Because home wasn't a safe place anymore. Home was just an address where a QR code was registered. And if that QR code got cancelled, the home disappeared too. I walked. Don't know where. Just walked. An old man stood on a corner. Cardboard sign in hand. Written on it, accepting cash. Any work. Please. Cash. Some still believed cash had value. But nobody had cash. And those who had it weren't giving it. Because holding cash was a crime. Got recorded. Your score dropped. The man looked at me. His eyes were wet. Or maybe they just looked that way from age. Can you spare something, son? I reached for my pocket. Empty. I could transfer from my phone, but the transfer would be recorded. Unauthorized fund. Transfer to individual. Suspicious activity. Point loss. I'm sorry, I said. The man nodded. I understand. No problem. I walked. Didn't look back. When I got home that night to the 28 square meter room where my QR code is registered, I turned on the TV. News channel. The anchor was smiling. They always smiled. In his statement today, the Fed chairman announced that the Fed wallet program achieved 92% citizen satisfaction in its first year. He emphasized that economic stability, inflation control, and environmental sustainability goals were reached thanks to the program. 92%. Nobody asked. What happened to the remaining 8%? Nobody asked. Who participated in this survey? Nobody asked. Where are those who didn't participate? Because nobody could ask. Asking questions meant point loss. I turned off the TV. Sat in the dark. My phone rang again. Notification. You are summoned to the Compliance Assessment Center tomorrow at 14. Attendance is mandatory. I didn't know why I was being summoned. Maybe my score dropped too much. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe just routine check. Didn't matter. I'd go. Because if I didn't, it would be worse. And maybe if I went, my score would rise. Maybe I'd prove I was a good citizen. Maybe I'd survive. Maybe. This is 2027. And your money isn't yours anymore. Your money is the state's. Your choices are the state's. Your thoughts are the state's. Your body is the state's. They still say, free country. Still say, democracy. Still say, rule of law. But words don't have meaning anymore. Because reality itself has been changed. Rewritten. Programmed. And you're just a line of code. Inside the system, deletable, changeable, can be made obsolete. They used to say, people shouldn't fear power. Power should fear people. Now power isn't afraid. Because there's nobody left to fear. Just QR codes, glowing screens, and silence. Deep, thick, suffocating silence. Welcome. This is the future. And the future has returned to the past. Except this time the chains aren't visible. Electronic, but still chains. And you're still a slave.